I could say a lot of things about him, but I respect my opponent. It's not for me to talk, it's for you to do the talking.
No, he just didn't do, he didn't snap his jab.
Anthony Joshua's explosive reaction to Jake Paul getting brutally knocked out in sparring has once again exposed the massive gap between genuine world-class boxing and social media manufactured hype. Jake Paul's flashy persona, bravado-filled interviews, and endless online theatrics crumble the moment he steps into real combat. His sparring knockout served as a perfect reminder that hype can't replace experience, skill, or the ring IQ required to compete at an elite level. Joshua made it clear, he is not here to babysit influencers, pretend fighters, or YouTube sensations chasing clout. He's here to maintain...
Just don't expect anything from anyone. People are entitled to talk about sparring. People are entitled to not talk about sparring. I just want to make sure that I handle my own corner. And how I'm gonna handle my own corner is do what I do, go out to fight every night.
Dominance, sharpen his craft, and remind the world that real champions operate under an entirely different standard. Jake Paul continues to rely on flash, noise, and highlight-edited training clips. But Anthony Joshua relies on discipline, execution, timing, precision, and the kind of conditioning that only
bigger head guards, bigger gloves, so stuff like speed and like athleticism plays more of a factor because you're able to move in and out, and the one shot isn't as important. But obviously I punch reasonably hard and I'm quite strong physically, so I never...
Years of top-tier training can produce. When Jake got knocked out in sparring, AJ didn't sugarcoat a thing. Instead, he used it as a blunt demonstration of what happens when someone tries skipping levels in a sport that punishes arrogance instantly. Lawrence Okoli echoed this sentiment without hesitation.
Easy fight for him, and I think this should be laid to rest because I don't think AJ's gonna go in and try and pat. AJ's gonna light and smoke.
His assessment of Jake Paul was raw and unfiltered. Jake simply does not have the skills required to handle real fighters, let alone someone of Joshua's stature. Sparring is supposed to be controlled, yet even there, Jake's flaws are exposed. Speed, defense, footwork, balance.
I don't think he's world class. He's not really my cup of tea. I mean, I don't look at boxing probably the way you do or most sort of fans do.
Balance and reaction time. These aren't buzzwords. They're the pillars of mastery. Jake's hype evaporates every time he faces a proper professional, and Okolia emphasized that no amount of internet fame can disguise the truth. Derek Chisora added fuel to the fire with a brutal but honest evaluation. He insisted that Anthony Joshua
versus 6'6" Anthony Joshua. Jake weighed in for the Tyson fight at 199. Joshua against Ngannou was 252.
6'6", not just 6'6", but 6'6", and knows how to use every fucking inch of it. Knows how to keep that stick in your face. He was keep that jab in his face, and that right hand, if it hits you.
Has absolutely no reason to show Jake Paul mercy. This is not a charity exhibition. This is heavyweight boxing, dangerous, unforgiving, and ruthless. If Jake believes he can walk into the ring with Joshua and survive, he's delusional. Chisora made it clear. AJ will walk through Jake without...
I look at everybody who's got in his sparring camp. I personally don't believe that you can actually... The sparring partners he's got right now, they're pushing him to be menace.
Without hesitation. The fight would not be competitive. It wouldn't even be close. Chisora joked that this shouldn't even be discussed anymore, because AJ would smoke him, plain and simple. Duke McKenzie, a former world champion known for his technical insight, was even harsher. He pointed out that Jake Paul is not world-class.
Depending on punch power, you know what, it takes a lot more than that to be a great fighter. A lot more than that to be a great fighter, so there's various ways I'll win. I got the fighter spirit, and that's how I'll go in there and break him down.
Not close to elite level, and not operating within the skill range required to challenge someone like Anthony Joshua. Jake relies on internet buzz and strategic matchmaking, but AJ fights career killers and seasoned contenders. Mackenzie emphasized the key difference. Hype fades, but real fundamentals never lie. When Jake tries to elevate himself beyond his true ability, he gets exposed, just as he did in sparring. Joe Rogan also weighed in, breaking down the matchup from a physical and technical standpoint. Anthony Joshua stands 6'6", weighs around 250 pounds.
What do you want to go sparring for? Behind closed doors? Let all the fans see it. Do it in a ring, get paid for it. I mean, it's be the biggest fight ever. Why do you want to do that? That's nonsense. It's stupid, ridiculous. Want to make the fight, that's the issue.
And carries destructive power in both hands. His reach, jab, timing, and athleticism make him a nightmare for established heavyweights, let alone a cruiserweight-sized YouTuber. Rogan explained that Jake Paul's height and tricks might work against undersized opponents, but against Anthony Joshua, they become meaningless. AJ can control space, pace, distance, and engagements. Jake wouldn't just be overwhelmed, he'd be physically manhandled. That's the difference between a heavyweight champion and an influencer who
And I said, look, if you're to believe that he had the best training camp, his legs have gone. And if I've got it right.
Picked up boxing at 24. Chisora backed that up with a reality check on Jake Paul's training environment. While Jake spars lightly, selects friendly partners, and posts flashy clips online, AJ trains with elite killers every single day. Joshua faces world-class pressure in camp, pressure that sharpens his instincts and prepares him for war. Jake Paul has never experienced real sparring at that level, and Chisora made it clear. This experience gap would destroy Jake the moment the bell rang. Many people underestimate Anthony.
I'm hearing things that he's been dropped in the ring, in the gym and stuff like that. But that's okay too, because I took a couple spills, little slips in the ring, in the gym. That's okay, but we're going to see. This is going to be a good fight.
Anthony Joshua's mental game, believing he relies solely on power. But fighters who truly understand the sport, like Tony Bellew and Duke McKenzie, emphasize that AJ's intelligence and adaptability are the real danger. Joshua breaks opponents down methodically. He studies their habits. He exposes their weaknesses. Jake Paul is used to swinging heavy shots at much smaller men. Against AJ, every mistake would be magnified 100-fold. Frank Warren tore apart the idea of Jake Paul being ready for Anthony Joshua. Closed-door sparring.
He is looking like a beast in camp for this fight because he would have put everything into this camp. But it doesn't mean that can always translate in a ring when you get to the back end of your career. He's had loads of injuries. He's definitely coming to the...
Edited footage and hype media appearances can fool casual fans, but not real boxing insiders. Warren emphasized that Jake's overconfidence is not just delusional, it's dangerous. Anthony Joshua is a former two-time heavyweight world champion, forged through brutal competition and years of dedication. Jake Paul, despite his improved skills, simply does not belong in that world. Johnny Nelson took it a step further by highlighting Jake Paul's weak foundation, the legs. In boxing, your legs determine your endurance, your movement, your power, and your ability to absorb punishment. Nelson insists Jake's foundation collapses the moment he faces a heavyweight like Joshua. AJ's conditioning, lateral movement, and ability to close distance would overwhelm Jake instantly. Every step.
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the fuck is Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still won't.
Step Jake takes inside the ring would serve as a reminder that he's out of his depth. Shannon Briggs, one of the most charismatic heavyweights in boxing history, admitted that Jake Paul's training mishaps are entertaining. But entertainment stops the moment you enter a real fight. Mistakes that Jake makes in sparring for laughs would get him destroyed against AJ. Briggs emphasized the harsh truth. Boxing doesn't reward hype, it exposes it. Eddie Hearn, who knows AJ better than anyone, dismantled Jake's chances logically and brutally. He pointed out that Jake slowing down in camp isn't just normal. It's evidence of being outclassed. Joshua's training partners push him to extremes every single day. Jake cannot...
it's a dangerous fight. Of course, it's a dangerous fight. But I'm not here to be there selling their show. I've got no interest in the fighters from that perspective. I just think that he is a licensed boxer. He trains. He knows what he's getting involved with. He's not an idiot. And he knows what he's going to be up against, but he must believe in himself to do it.
Not replicate that environment, and it shows. Hearn stressed that Jake is simply not prepared for elite-level pressure, let alone heavyweight championship speed and accuracy. If the fight happens, AJ won't play with his food. He'll dismantle Jake quickly. Tommy Fury, who has already beaten Jake Paul, didn't hold back either. He said AJ wouldn't just beat Jake Paul, he'd annihilate him. Fury even joked that Joshua could win with a broken arm. But behind the humor is a serious point. Jake Paul is nowhere near Joshua's level. Not physically, not mentally, not technically. Jake built his career on hype, social media, and creative matchmaking. Anthony Joshua built his on distance.
Anthony Joshua, who's now 5 inches bigger than you, maybe more, or 4 or 5 inches, and about 100 pounds heavier. You just don't go from there right up to there. I don't believe it. And I won't believe it until the two of them got 10-ounce gloves on in a boxing ring. Because if Anthony Joshua puts 10-ounce gloves on and gets in a boxing ring and Jake Paul is in the other corner, this won't last long.
Discipline, Olympic pedigree, world titles, and years of facing the best. Frank Warren added a final warning. He reminded everyone that boxing is dangerous, especially when someone overestimates their ability. Jake Paul may talk like he's ready, but Warren emphasized that stepping in with a seasoned heavyweight is a different universe. Joshua's size, power, tactical intelligence, and years of training make him one of the most dangerous fighters alive. Jake Paul stepping into that environment isn't ambition, it's delusion. Tony Bellew summed it up simply yet powerfully. Jake Paul is physically outmatched, technically outclassed, and mentally unprepared for a boxer like Anthony Joshua. Every advantage, height, weight, speed, reach, power, experience, belongs to AJ.
In camp, living in camp, training with him day in, day out. And it made a big difference in the fight. So I think he knows that the way that he's going to improve is time in the gym and also the quality of sparring.
Bellew made it clear that hype means nothing when the gloves touch. Jake won't survive long enough to rely on his theatrics. The moment the fight starts, he'll realize how massive the gap truly is. Eddie Hearn wrapped it up perfectly. Anthony Joshua's consistency, discipline, and elite sparring environment sharpen him into a complete fighter. Jake Paul cannot match that grind. He can talk, he can joke, he can post flashy highlights, but he cannot bridge the gap between influencer boxing and world champion heavyweight boxing. When considering everything, physicality, experience, technical skill, ring IQ, training environment, discipline, and mentality, it becomes obvious that Anthony Joshua isn't just another opponent for Jake Paul. He's a force of nature. Jake Paul would be stepping into a nightmare he cannot talk his way out of, edit his way out of, or hype his way out of. Every expert, from Tommy Fury to Frank Warren to Joe Rogan, agrees that Jake is massively outclassed. If this fight ever happens, it won't be a competitive event. It will be a boxing clinic, a reality check, a brutal lesson in the difference between real fighters and manufactured stars. Now it's your turn. How do you see this matchup? Does Jake Paul survive even one round with Anthony Joshua? Or is this fight over before it begins? Drop your prediction. Smash the like button if you're backing AJ. And don't forget to subscribe for more raw boxing breakdowns and straight-up truth from inside the ring.